Hello, it's Dolly. Welcome to my channel, Scrapping on the Go. This process video is for everyday inspiration with Christy, Crystal, Daisy, Jennifer, and myself. Our inspiration piece is a photograph that Daisy took of her newfound love of yarn and crocheting. And so the first thing I thought of was all of the colors within those yarns. Next was I want to get yarn on my layout. But the problem was I do not have any yarn in my house whatsoever. And the idea is not to go out and buy yarn. It is to take inspiration from that photograph, from your stash, and create a layout. So I'm like, what am I going to document? And so the first thing I decided to do, rather than find papers to work with and ephemera and embellishments, is I selected a photograph. And when I was going through my photographs, I found this photograph of my little guy doing a science project at school that his teacher was so awesome to snap a photograph and email that to me. Then I went to my papers and I'm looking at some half-used collections because I want to get them used up. And I went right to the Summer Adventure collection by Laura Whitlock, and the manufacturer is Echo Park. And I thought, gosh, you're crazy, Dolly. What's going to be in that camping collection that you could use to document this photograph? So as I ruffle through all the paper collections, I saw this constellation paper, pattern paper, and I said, yes, I can do some hand stitching using embroidery thread. So that's what I did. And then I got out my Nouveau Crystal Drops in Dandelion, and in that pattern paper are little itty bitty stars. So I made little itty bitty droplets, little tiny enamel dots basically, to add some more texture and visual interest to this layout. Then when I was going through my collections, I needed a bright, fun color to make this all pop. So I'm using this paper from Photoplay, in which I cut a 2.5-inch wide by 12 inches long, but then I cut probably about an inch off the end, or a half an inch. And I'm going to lay that vertically. I'm going to use the B side of that bright, fun, colorful paper. And that's because it's of rocket ships. Perfect for documenting this photograph of my little guy doing a science project in school, which I know I said that before. So I'm going to trim off the zip strip or branding strip, and then I'm going to cut about a half an inch off the side. And that is going to be my second layer for documenting this photograph. So first is the cardstock there, which also came from the Summer Adventure collection by Laura Whitlock, manufactured by Echo Park. Now I'm going to get out or use my Creative Memories circle cutting system, and I'm not going to make a full complete circle. And then I got out 2 papers from my Scraps of Stash, because that is my focus the month of March, to use as much scraps from my stash on my layouts. I'm going to double mat this photograph, and I left the one end straight. So it's not, like I said, it's not a full circle. I'm going to place my photograph to the left on top of the vertical strip. So now, while I'm just a moment ahead of myself, be sure to check out the other ladies' links listed below so that you can see their take from this inspiration piece or photograph brought to us by Daisy from her yarn. All right, I wanted some additional definition between all my paper layers, so I decided to back 3 of them using the Daisy white cardstock from Close to My Heart. You can use any type of white cardstock, or another color you could use is orange or even red. Remember, this layout is going into my little guy's album, and I love to document my photographs using paper collections that represent the age at that time. All right. So yes, as an adult, you're thinking, why are you going to use that? But you have to look at the photograph and remember what you're documenting. So even though it may not be your thing to use based on your age right at the moment, maybe to use juvenile layer or papers or even baby, but if you're doing baby photographs, then use that tone of paper. Okay, it doesn't have to be themey, but just use that type of tone. All right, I just think it works perfect. All right, back to the ephemera pieces. The ephemera pieces that I use come from this camping collection, because you never know what you might find that will work with the photograph that I'm documenting, which is of a science project. So I found this one ephemera piece that you see right now that is craft, and I laid that on top of that craft tag, and it says, "May the forest be with you," right? Perfect. That orange piece that's behind the craft tag is a frame that came from that collection. That wood grain piece that I just slipped in was from my stash, and apparently I had cut it as a fishtail banner and didn't like it because for whatever reason, fishtail banners just don't strike a creative chord with me. But I'm going to try to use it because, like I said, my focus is to use my scraps from my stash. All right, now I'm off to using chipboard. All right, in my collection of chipboard, I have a quarter left of a double-sided collection of chipboard that was kid themed. And I had this one that said Future Explorer, and it's in tones of purples. And I'm like, when am I ever going to use this on a guy's layout or a kid's layout? But it worked perfect for this layout, and I get it used up from my stash because of all that bright color tone in that vertical strip from Photoplay. It worked perfect. Also from the chipboard, I got out the camera, which came from the camping chipboard. I adjusted that fishtail banner. I put some silver puffy stars to the right of my title, which is Future Explorer, and this layout is complete. I am so happy how this turned out for several reasons. Just because of the inspiration piece, it had lots of yarn. Second, I needed to use some papers that represented my photograph, and I used a camping collection that the opposite side was about the constellation in the skies and so forth. And this just worked out perfect. So be sure to look on the opposite side of your pattern paper because you might be surprised. All right, here's the close-ups. Keep coming back, share my channel, get out your photographs, document those memories in a fun, creative way. Have a fabulous day. Bye.